Yeah, good morning everybody. My name's Caroline. I am a digital marketing consultant, so I work with businesses mainly, okay, thank you, mainly in the service-based businesses on putting together a digital marketing strategy for business growth. There's no point going through the hassle and all the work that is involved with the digital marketing if you're not focused on the growth and the measurement and how that's actually going to bring leads into your business. So that's what I do. And today, yeah, we're going to talk about messenger marketing. That's sort of maybe little known, but starting to grow area of promoting out to your customers. I met Emma at an Enterprise Nation event a couple of months ago, and we started talking about, I don't know how we started talking about chatbots, but anyway we did, because that's what you do. And she said, oh, will you come and present? And I was like, well, okay. So I thought, right, okay, well, I don't really, I do a few more presentations, but I thought, get myself out of my comfort zone and come and do the presentation. So, does anybody know what chatbots or messenger marketing, does anybody know anything about messenger marketing, what it is? Am I talking a foreign language? Okay, good. Wow, what is messenger marketing? So, you know when you're on Facebook and you maybe send a message to a friend? Yeah. That is messenger. And you can use that to grow your business, to communicate with your customers, to send education, send tips, do all sorts of things. And that little piece of technology that Facebook have built is what we're talking about. And really, just think of messenger marketing as another means of communicating with your customers. Just a way of getting closer to them, getting messages to them, perhaps at a time and a location which they want to hear from you. You know, a lot of the time with marketing, it's all about when we want to do something for our customers. This is about when they want to receive information from you. Because by going onto Messenger, you can program, and I say program, don't get alarmed, programmed a small piece of software that will basically answer the questions and send information to your customers about what they might want to hear from you and know from you at a time when they want to hear it. So when they're mindlessly watching, I don't know, Love Island, and you do mindlessly watch Love Island, they get bored quite quickly. They might start thinking, oh, I really need to sort out my office cleaning, you know, and they know of you. They want to search, they want to ask a question, and they want to get an answer there and then. And that's what it's really about. So why even think about, I've got some examples to show you, and if everyone's got their phone and they've got Facebook, we're going to go through some examples so you can see exactly what I'm talking about in a bit. So why Messenger in the first place, really? There's some pretty mind-blowing statistics around Messenger, and I was thinking that was going to work, but it doesn't, does it?
Oh, I'm afraid not.
So I'm like looking there,
Sorry.
and it's just files. So globally, these statistics came out in February from Facebook's developer conference, and there's 1.4 billion monthly active users of Facebook Messenger, not just Facebook, but of Messenger. And 20 billion messages are exchanged each month between businesses and users. Now I know that seems like a bit of a mind-blowing statistic, and you might be thinking, well, this is all big companies. It isn't, it really isn't. I mean, there's a massive amount of messaging going on between, and communication going on between businesses and their potential clients. And there's 40 million plus businesses who are using Messenger every month. And these are obviously global statistics, but that's pretty impressive. So of a room of, I don't know, what, 15 people, no one is yet using it. You can see that, you know, there's a lot of potential and opportunity. Probably a lot of these are in the US. They're a bit further ahead with this in terms of the thinking. But there's some really good opportunity for you guys to do some really lovely, very high kind of like personalised touch points with your customers in the right place at the right time. These are some statistics of a campaign that I worked on with a mentor of mine. She's based in the US, but she runs a really successful messenger company. And I worked on this campaign with her. We sent messages. You can see that the open rates on some of these are phenomenal. I don't know if you guys send emails to your customers, and you're probably around maybe 5 to 10% open rate on some of the messages, if you're lucky. People have got a bit of email fatigue. We've got some really high open rates, 70%, and on average 50% of those people are actually clicking as well. So there's some really good statistics around this for a very targeted type of campaign. And also what we found was that we get 2 to 5 times higher conversion rate on messages that we're sending rather than email or some other platforms. Now, I'm not saying that you do this in isolation. This forms part of what you're doing as your wider sort of marketing plan, but it's another way of talking to your customers. And it's really useful if you are a one-person business, not just to think about it in terms of marketing, but to think about it in terms of how you can answer frequently asked questions, and you can really help answer the questions much quicker that your customers might have. So there's many ways that there's different things that you can think about in terms of Messenger. There's and ways to get to Messenger, and there are things like Facebook posts, Facebook ads. You can send messages to your existing list. There's different buttons and plugins. Now, if that all seems a bit alien, don't worry. I'm going to go into that in a bit. And as I said, if you think about Messenger in terms of open rates compared to email, you can see that on average we've got 70% open rates on a Messenger versus high average open of 20% on email. So they're really, really good statistics to start thinking about. And you can just sort of start to think about how you might be able to increase your communication with some of your customers. That actually isn't supposed to be there, so let's move on. So what's the ways that you can think about how you get to a message? Now, you've probably seen within a Facebook, you see your Facebook post, whatever it has. This is obviously when you're the manager of it, but what you can actually do is you can turn your Facebook pages that are really successful into an ad, and then you can send those ads to Messenger. The response can be send it to Messenger rather than the ad being call me or email me or go to this website. You can just go straight into sending someone to Messenger. And you can have, and those ads become click to Messenger ads, where you can have all sorts of things that you can do. Apply now, learn more, sign up, or send a message. There's all sorts of call to actions that you can do depending on what is right for your business. Within Messenger, you can also do sponsored, you can do paid advertising within Messenger. You might have started to see some of that already. I've got some examples of some that showed up in my Messenger feed the other day. They were a bit random, but their targeting is a little bit off at the moment. But you can do sponsored messages within Messenger. And you can also, once you've got your existing Messenger list, you can also send ongoing messages to just keep the conversation going. Think of Messenger as having a conversation with your customers rather than sort of very much sort of broadcasting out what you want when you want. It's about very much personalised one-to-one communication, and they can select what they want to hear about. You can also do checkboxes or buttons on your website. If you've got something on your website where instead of them signing up to a big complicated form, we've all seen them. You see a form and then you think, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. You can just literally press a button and straight away they're in Messenger and you've got their details and they can confirm that they want to communicate with you. And then there's also something that is called a ref URL. Don't worry too much about it, but basically it's a URL that you can publish that takes you straight into Messenger. So you could do that with a link in an email. You could do that a link on a website. You can do anything, but this is not complicated, but I know it might look complicated. And then you can obviously do personalised experiences for different use cases. So I don't know if anyone knows a guy called Grant Cardone. He's quite a high-profile coach, US-based coach, but he has got a messenger bot set up on his Facebook where he basically sends things like articles and blogs. He sends links, it replaces an email with sending messenger. He sends videos. He does mini courses, mini challenges and things like that. And as you can see, you have the opportunity here to say, look, this is what I want to do, and you can say yes, let's go ahead, or no, and then that wouldn't necessarily unsubscribe you, but it would mean that not right now. But it's quite interesting to start going through some of these things. It can, some of them are very complicated, but you can get some really nice little kind of features within Messenger. Lego have got a great little quiz that they've got going on in terms of products. Now I know these are big companies, don't worry too much about that. This is just to show you some inspiration and some of what some companies are doing in order to talk to their customers, really understand them so that they can market to them better in the future. And that's ultimately what it's about. And basically, if you're using paid advertising on Facebook, we're not going to go into it in detail now, but what you can do is you can start to see what's most popular, and you can make your ad spend go quicker, because what it can tell you is how many people exactly are clicking this button, and you can start to change your messaging. And if you know that more people are clicking this top button than the bottom button, or you know that this first message has been more successful than another one, you can put more money into it. So it just really starts to help you to understand really well what's happening with your paid advertising, but it also makes that you can do lots of easier follow-up as well. So, that being said, what I want you to think about is something called the MSO framework. The goal being that you need to design the framework for your messenger that basically looks at 3 areas: your marketing, your sales, and your operations. Because I know that when I start talking about messenger bots, it can be a bit, what is she talking about? And even if you think about it just in terms of operations to start with, that will really help you to, the gentleman was talking about automation, that just helps you to start doing that first piece of automation in your business. You've probably got questions that you ask all the time about your business that you answer, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. You can program, your bot to answer those questions and direct people off to the appropriate place. So by the time they actually pick up the phone to you, or they send you an email, they know so much about your business and you and the price and things like that, that you've moved the conversation on, and that's ultimately what it's about. You're not having to do that initial, it costs £10 an hour, it costs this, because they know that, because you've answered all those questions already. So that's how you need to think of it. So the framework, the MSO framework, is basically, as I said, in those 3 areas. So from marketing, we're thinking about it in terms of creating an audience that you can engage with and grow, to promote your business, to maybe acquire new customers. And you've got lots of ways that you can get people into your messenger bot. And that would be social media posts, events, ads, emails, all sorts of ways that you can send them to then continue the conversation. Sales, what you can do is, if you've got existing customers or leads that you want to talk with, you can lead them through that experience, help to answer those questions that might be kind of like preventing them from signing up with you. Or they might have meant to pick up the phone, or they might have meant to purchase your product or service, and they got distracted, and it just reminds them at a different point. You pop up again, it reminds them again of you, and yes, you're top of mind again, And then in operations terms, you can automate repetitive tasks and support. You can program your bot to basically answer support questions, frequently asked questions. And the really good thing is you can hand off at a certain point to a human. Obviously, there's not every question that is going to be able to be answered by a bot. And when you first start out, it'll probably hand off to a human more than it will keep them in the bot, because you haven't really maybe thought about or programmed in all the questions that you can answer. But increasingly, as you get into this sort of like framework, you can make sure that you add those questions in. So any question that they might have, you can make sure that you've covered. And typically questions are around, maybe it could be returns if it's a product, it could be around pricing, it could be around how they sign up, it could be around any sort of like aspect that's kind of customer service driven. You can program in. And the good thing is, as I said, if you're a business of one and you're busy with a client, but you've got someone who wants to talk to you, instead of them not being able to get hold of anybody, or them sending an email and then you maybe not being able to get back to them for 24, 48 hours, they've got their answer there and then. So, it's the wrong title, because I had to send a PDF and I tried to change my slides this morning and I knew that it would upset, so I was like, no, don't. So basically what you're doing is getting your marketing, your sales and your operations all working together. Don't see them as separate entities, see them as working as cogs together and sort of supporting each other. And once you get one working really well, you can maybe go on to the second or third aspect of it. What I really want to tell you is that you're building a framework out to increase your return on investment. Yes, it might be that initially you've got to invest quite a bit of time into getting this right, but you can plan it out quite quickly and quite effectively just with a few simple guidelines and following some sort of checklists in terms of what you should cover. And you'll start to see, because of the increased open rates and the increased engagement, you'll start to see that return on investment made. As I said, don't do it in isolation. Don't just suddenly switch all of your efforts to bots. That would not be a particularly sensible idea. But it just enhances what you've already got and maybe frees up time of a member of staff who's constantly answering questions or trying to make telephone calls out to somebody to see if they want to sign up. It might free up some time and resource. Now, obviously, we've already covered that Facebook is maybe a slightly older audience than some of the other social networks out there. And it could be that some of your customers may think, oh, this is not really me. I don't really want this. I don't want all these messages coming to me. But what I like about it is that you can do it in your own time. You can initiate a conversation with a bot whenever you want. It doesn't have to be as interruptive as it is with other marketing methods and with other telephone calls or things like that. So I think just think about it in terms of how the world is moving. We don't like to talk to each other really, do we, anymore? No one picks up the phone, really. My phone rings, I'm like, oh my God, who is that? Who calls? Who calls? No one. In fact, a friend of mine doesn't even answer her phone anymore, unless you call her like 3 times. You've sent her a message, she's right on it, So, and things like that are happening, and I think we've just got to be aware of them. So some real world examples, because I think that might help to kind of like bring to life the kind of thing that I'm talking about. I don't know if anyone's heard of Plum. It's kind of like an artificial intelligence banking. It's not a bank, but they basically analyse your spending and they make suggestions about where you could be saving money and where you could put money to, put some money away, things like that. It's supposed to be a financial service advice kind of financial advice and savings service. Let's move aside the fact that they basically know everything about you, what you're spending money on, where you're spending it, how often, all of that. What they do is, this is in their Facebook Messenger, this is the kind of stuff that they sell you. So, you put images in, you make it fun. You have to make sure that you are only doing sort of smaller sentences. Just make your bot very engaging. And what you can do here, you can see this is the introduction. You can say, yeah, I'm ready to sign up, or how does this work? And then they guide you through exactly what you need to do to set up their service. And you can do that without ever speaking to a human. So if you're a little bit introverted or miserable, either way, you know, whichever you want to say, you need never speak to a human again. But, and I'm not really advocating that, but that's one of the kind of like services that you can do. Viral Loops is a business-to-business service. They talk about they provide a software solution for Facebook ads and things like that. But again, they use Messenger to show you different ways that solve your problems, but ultimately lead to a product or service that they sell. So when you're thinking about a bot, you need to think about what do you sell, what problem are you solving, and how can you send some of that information within what you would send in an email, but send it in a bot to direct people straight to your solution. And then here, this is an ad. So obviously someone thought that I needed some help, because I got an ad for a licensed counsellor yesterday. So Facebook are listening to me and obviously feeling that I'm in need of some assistance. And this ad popped up yesterday in my the only ad in my Messenger yesterday. And I was like, well, that's interesting. What have they been listening to me talking about for the last 2 weeks? That's another conversation. Who's listening to you and what? Anyway, but that's what you can start to do. You can start to see ads coming up. The trick, obviously, with that is that you don't want to. People may be a bit like, what is that? Because Messenger you very much see as one-to-one communication. So if you're starting to see ads, you might get a bit like, oh, what is that? So maybe it's a positive because it's interrupting your pattern flow and you're immediately going to stand out as a business that's promoting in there. Or someone might immediately be like, I'm not interested in that. I'm not sure. It's going to depend on your service, I think. But I was immediately like, what? I don't need counselling. I maybe do, but... And then there's another one here, which is a lady called Bushra Azhar. I don't know if anyone follows her. She's a Pakistani lady based in Saudi. She's a business support coach. She's very funny. But she sends literally daily bots on it's an ongoing basis. It's getting to the point where it's a bit like, okay, I've had enough now. And that is the balance. You need to think about what you're doing. But she'll send you a warning that she's about to go live on Facebook. She's doing a webinar. All sorts of things. It's just another way for you to reach your audience. So I thought what might be a good idea is just to really, you can unsubscribe at any time. If anyone wants to look at how a bot works really well, some of these are really good. KLM is really good to take a look at, the airline company. Tony Robbins, I'm sure most people know who Tony Robbins is. His has got a very detailed bot, but interestingly, when you try and unsubscribe, it's taken me 3 attempts so far to unsubscribe and it's not working. So something is going a little bit wrong there, but he's got a very detailed bot that he's got going on his Facebook page. Domino's Pizza, you can order pizza, again, directly from your phone if you want to, within Facebook Messenger. I don't like Domino's Pizza, but...
Simple question. So you look for these people on Facebook and then they will automatically message you, is that what you're saying?
No. Yes, you can. Yes, if you look up their Facebook page, if you look up Tony Robbins' Facebook page, and then it will say, there'll be somewhere there you can say message and it will take directly there. Or you can go directly into Messenger and just type Tony Robbins in and it'll take you straight there. And again, Hipmunk is a travel service. They've got a really fun and engaging bot. And as I said, KLM is really good. How do you do all this? So I haven't gone into a detailed... Was it coming in?
It's fine, I've saved you all from the squirrel.
I should have brought my dog because he hates squirrels. He would have been literally barking at the door. There was no way it was coming in if I brought him. So one of the key things, I haven't gone into a detailed explanation here of how you do it, because it's not complex, but it potentially is quite overwhelming when you first look at it. But this little logo here is a software called ManyChat, and this basically helps you to do all of these things that I've talked about. It helps you to automate.
It's called what?
ManyChat. ManyChat.
Mm.
Yeah, it costs you $10 a month, and they will guide you through exactly how to set it up. And essentially what you first do is you set up a welcome message, you set up a menu, and you set up a default reply. Now the default reply is, I'm not a human, I don't understand what you're talking about, I'll let a human come back to you. It's essentially what it's going to tell you. And I am going to be running a course on how to set up ManyChat, and I was telling Lou I should have been a bit more organised and actually had the date, but I haven't got it done. So if you need some help with that, I'm more than happy to, or equally I'm happy to just answer any questions over email or Messenger, should it be needed. So the things to think about is your bot is like your concierge. It's like the person that you go to ask questions to help you out. So you might not be available. Who can I ask about your business? Who can I ask about what you can do for me? And things like that. So it goes in addition to everything else you're doing within your marketing strategy. But it also helps to get you more return on investment from what you're doing within Facebook. Facebook are pushing people more and more and more towards using things like Messenger. You may have seen, if you use Facebook regularly for your business, that your organic or natural reach for anything you do is going down and down and down. That's ultimately because they want you to do two things. They want you to pay in order to reach your customers, or they want you to use one of their other channels that they would prefer you use, for certain things. Messenger is one of them, and they also want you to be using video. So if you combine paid with Messenger and video, you are like the perfect customer for Facebook, but what that will mean is that you will be getting out to your customers even better. A good way of thinking about it is run challenges and promotions on your bot. Just think about the kind of things that you would like to learn about a company or a person, and make your content interesting and engaging and something a bit fun, and people will keep coming back for more. Now I know it can be a bit challenging if you're selling a product that maybe, or service that maybe people traditionally wouldn't see as fun, or that's maybe not in your brand that it's fun, if that makes sense. But you don't have to go like the complete sort of like make a joke or things like that, but just make sure that what you're saying is engaging and is interesting, and it isn't loads and loads and loads and loads of text. Make it short, make it sharp, make it something that people can understand really quickly, and that there's many different ways that they can then continue the journey. So I've got the Tony Robbins one in here. So you can have 3 or 4 different buttons here. You can say yes, how does this work? You can say no. There's many different things that you can do to follow that on. And it is, you are automating basically your customer service process or your marketing process to an extent. And also don't think that you've got to suddenly create loads of different content or loads of new content. If you've got a blog on your website, or you've got tips, or you've got a brochure, or you've got something that says what you as a business do, you can use all that content, but just put it into a messenger bot. It's just a different way of delivering the same information. So don't suddenly think, oh no, I've now got to write all this new stuff, I've got to write all this new copy, I've got to get lots of new information. You haven't. You can just use the information that A, you've already got, and B, are the questions that you get asked. So what I would suggest is, if you wanted to think about setting one up, you could go away and think, what's the top 10 questions you get asked all the time? how much is your service, how long does it take, what's your appointment time, things like that. And you can program answers, and you can then also send people off to your website as well. It just points them in the right direction, thinking of it as a guide so that they can go, you can take them exactly where they need to be to answer different questions at different times. And that's it. It's quite a difficult topic to show. I mean, I can maybe show you afterwards a bot in action if we can.
Yeah,
if we
fantastic.
if we can hook that up. That might be a good way of sort of showing people how it works.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, Liz, I think Liz has got it.
I was going to say,
Can I just ask you about Instagram messaging?
Yeah.
How does that? Because I actually prefer to Instagram, I don't Facebook yet.
Okay.
But I get a lot of, because I don't do Instagram that well, but
Yeah.
I do get messages that come and ask me, do you have this? Can I, where are you based? So,
Yeah, you can't hook Messenger up to Instagram at the moment. I think something similar might come, because obviously Instagram is growing in popularity. You can't do that right now.
So
I guess
try
it
to
would-
pull through that.
I guess the only thing you could do is have all those answers on a web page maybe, and you could send them directly there. With a, you could have a piece of copy already written if you get that question, that you can then just copy and paste in and say, thanks for your question. Here's all the information you're after, and just send them the link, and then they can go off and find it there. Maybe that might be the best idea, because then you're not having to repeat yourself all the time. And as the gentleman said, it's about it's automating those repetitive tasks. And that might be the best way of doing that right now. Yeah.
Last question. You're not really encouraging any form of manual discussion with a client on Messenger. It's mainly about automated, because otherwise, if you're not careful, you can do end up with another, not email, but another set of applications that you've got to monitor.
Yeah, you need to automate it as much as possible. You do need to monitor, in the sense that if someone asks you a question that you haven't yet programmed, you can answer it. You can set it up so that you would get an alert. But yes, absolutely, it's about automating it as much as possible, but still seeming like it's a human there. Although I would advise that you're very upfront and say, this is a bot, I help, what's your name? Dave out. If there's a question I can't answer, Dave will get right back to you. You start with that, so people are really clear. You're not trying to pretend that it is you. That's one of your first messages, and then when it asks a question that it doesn't understand, it will come directly to you, and then you can answer it. Yeah.
So I know how long's a piece of string. I'm sure we get asked this question a lot. How is this going to take over everybody's lives, or is this like a couple of hours to set up, and then you can just allow it to?
Couple of hours to set up. Once you've sort of thought about what's the questions you want to ask and what you want to do with it. So if you wanted to start maybe with customer service sort of type questions to start with, what's those questions you get asked? Write the sort of questions and answers, and you could set it up in a couple of hours to start with. And then I would say monitoring it on I want to say daily, but not daily. It's only daily if someone asks a question that can't be answered, if that makes sense. But otherwise it just happens in the background, and then it becomes something that you update, like you update maybe your blog, like you update your, do you have a blog that you update? So okay, so what marketing do you do for your business? Mainly.
We use Google. We use Google very, very heavily.
AdWords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a call centre answer, so they do go through to a human being.
Yeah.
And they basically will ask them set questions that we want them to ask, and then email us with the request.
So you've already got the question set up that the call centre are doing. So you could
Question's
just
very
try
useful.
it as an alternative. You could test it and see what's actually most effective. What am I
Might
getting?
save you money.
Yeah. What are you actually? If you've got those questions already set up, you could start a test saying, what's my return on 10 people that fill that out versus 10 people that go through to the call centre? Is it higher? I mean, that's perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. That's really good.
Is it easy enough to do a button on your website that would link through
Yes.
to the Messenger?
Really easy.
Right.
Do you have a WordPress website?
No, it's Joomla.
Oh, just I was going to say it's only problematic if you've got Wix. That's when it becomes a problem. So, yes, basically within ManyChat, which I can maybe show you afterwards, once you set up, when you go to the tool that is button, you fill out what you want it to say, and then you have a piece of code that you copy, and it tells you where to put it, or you send it to your developer. If you're using Joomla, then I'm just thinking that someone else will do it for you. Yeah. So, so you just send them that piece of code and say, please put this, so it appears on the homepage, and it's done for you. So they're not writing code; it's all done. You just send it to your developer, and they'll put it in, and it'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a way of having live chat on your website as well, not just within Messenger. It's a way
I've
of
got like a little box that goes through to an email, which
which you may or may not monitor, right? But if it's coming straight through to your Messenger, it'll come straight to you. Yeah, so that's probably a good use case for you.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say earlier that you get you got a URL,
Yes.
and so someone who's not accessing Messenger to start with could just click on the URL and get
Yes.
into it.
That is correct.
I'm thinking about from a recruitment point of view, to get engagement on candidates that are coming from, say, Indeed.
Yeah.
So we don't have control over Indeed. The business hasn't got control over Indeed.
Yeah.
But if you could put in one of the questions on that you can put in certain questions, if you put in the URL, you can click on the URL.
Yes.
Through Indeed. So
Yeah.
Indeed
And it would go straight to your Messenger, absolutely. And then you could have it set up that I'm just doing one for a travel agent client at the moment, and we're basically trying to automate to a degree his first inquiry process for bookings. So we ask, what's your email, what's your first name, what's your second name, do you know where you want to go, have you got any ideas, is it for a special occasion, how many people, all of that, and it's very quick and easy. And it's got, say, seven questions in there, and that goes straight from an ad, and it goes straight from to different places, and goes straight into his basic inquiry form. So it doesn't, you're not going to a website. So when you're, the good thing about Messenger is it's very mobile optimized. So you're right there, and you're not trying to scroll around a screen that maybe the form hasn't been optimized properly. And so far we've had it live for like 2 days. And he's seen, he thinks he's already seen an uptake in the quality of the people that he's getting in, because they're seeing an ad. We posted a video ad about Emirates business class. So Emirates providing with nice little video assets that you can use. Posted a little ad about Emirates business class, the chauffeur and everything that you get. Click to Messenger. He's had 10 inquiries already in 2 days for business class on Emirates.
I also think people want response quickly.
They do.
Right? And so if you have a process where someone is inquiring about your services, whatever that is,
Yeah.
And you don't respond for 24 hours because it's sitting on an email, chances are they'll be looking elsewhere at the same time.
Yeah.
And whoever responds quickest is more likely to.
I've seen some research that suggests if you don't respond within 30 minutes, you are out. You are not getting the business. I was getting a personal trainer last year. I mean, that lasted about 2 months, but anyway. And I sent him a message on his form on his website, and I didn't hear from him for a week. And by the time he called me back, I'd gone to someone else. And he said, oh, well, you didn't give me a chance. And I said, I gave you a week. And I thought that was like, I was getting antsy after 24 hours because I hadn't heard from him. So you're totally right. It helps make that initial kind of like, even if you haven't answered the question completely, they know that you've actually got back to them and someone is dealing with it. And I think that's actually where the real power in it is from an operational service perspective. I read some statistics yesterday, in fact I posted something on LinkedIn about it, that there was a survey done for Generation Z, and they said that they reckon that 70% of them rate customer service above anything else. Service about how well, whether they're going to give your money, give their money to you as a business. And I think that's kind of changing the nature of how we, even as small businesses, have to conduct ourselves.
Okay, what we'll try and do is get
A few things hooked up.
something hooked up to the monitor.
Yeah.
Is that possible? Yeah.
Oh.